Good morning, good afternoon, and good night, and welcome to the pod where we chat, argue, and wax poetic about the movies that we love, hate, or simply worth talking about. All movies have something to say, and we enjoy trying to analyze what they capture. Welcome to the Shatter After. How's everybody doing out there? I'm Brandon Alvarado, the Scarlet fan here, and I'm back here with the Shatter After crew to talk more awesome movies. And what a movie Top Gun is. Yes, this take of the Shadow Raptor is about the 1986 Tom Cruise vehicle of the air, Top Gun. A lot to say about it. And of course, I'm here accompanied with my good friend, Mike Thomas.
All I was going to say is I have the need for speed.
Perfect. Perfect. And the good man, Nate Richard. Thank you for joining us, man. Welcome to the Shadow After.
Happy to be here. Mike was going to say what I was going to say. Need for speed.
So what I'm going to say is I heard that you're a Top Gun fan. So I think it's going to be a very, very interesting mix of people because, Mike, how many times have you seen Top Gun?
This would be number 3 for me.
Okay. So we have an immense fanatic. We have a person that knows the movie. And we have a person that just left the theater. So this is going to be very interesting because Top Gun is a lot of things and a lot of things to a lot of different people. Because one of the things that I can attest to is that even though I've never watched this film, I've always known that Top Gun it's a big thing. It's been a big movie for years. It's one of the biggest things for Tom Cruise. Um, it pretty much is Tom Cruise vehicle. And also, whenever the talk about a sequel was around, even me, someone that's never seen Top Gun, I know that a sequel is something that's been in the works for decades. And now that it's finally coming out, this is the perfect time to talk about the original that actually was so good for so many people that a sequel is being made and everybody's just going crazy about it. Especially now that Tom Cruise is like the action star, right? Like whenever someone thinks of an action star, they think about Tom Cruise throughout the 90s or 2000s, 2010s. In 2020 and the 2010s, actually Keanu Reeves, but we're not going to talk about that. But Tom Cruise is awesome. So we have a lot to talk about. Nate, thank you for joining us. And I say, let's get into Top Gun. So let's go around the table. Let's find out what everybody thinks, initial thoughts, how many times you've seen it, and why this movie is important for you. I would say, Nate, you're the guest. Talk to me. Why Top Gun? What's Top Gun to you?
So I'll start by saying I come from a lot of my family and a lot of my friends are obsessed with airplanes and the Navy and everything like that. My dad, he was in the Navy.
Awesome.
Two of my best friends, I mean, literally, they would just, whenever they would come over, they would just talk to my dad about like aviation and airplanes and everything like that. And then one of the friends, both of his parents are pilots. So he was also like brought up with this movie. And like, I would watch it with them. I would watch like, this was a movie that holds like a lot of, sentimentality to me. And I like Tom Cruise. It's a very summery kind of movie. So
Yes.
I like that kind of feeling as well. I love the Kenny Loggins Danger Zone. There's just a lot I really like about this movie. And then rewatching it, I've lost track because one of the times that I watched it, I think I watched it for the first time when I was like 11. And then I've watched it a couple of times throughout middle school. I remember one of the times we were on a 8th grade, it was a performing arts field trip. And we had these, they rented out these buses that had the DVD players so the whole bus could watch it. And I made my friend bring Top Gun. And I guess, even though it's PG, I don't think the parents were that thrilled with that. Because last night watching it, I forgot, it's a very sensual movie that whole time.
I don't think the rating system for movies was at the point that it is now, where PG means PG and PG-13 means PG-13.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Because
rating,
there's a line between PG and R, and this definitely goes behind enemy lines. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
there's literally a locker with a topless woman in like in the background, I'm just like, that slipped past the PG censors.
You know why? Because we do it for the troops, gentlemen.
We salute.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. What a great lowdown. I like the idea that it's so this movie for you, it's like it's I mean, this is like the worst comparison ever. But like I used to bowl when I was a kid. Like I was in a league or whatever. So this will be the equivalent of Kingpin for me. Like if
Yeah.
Kingpin was right, like not that Kingpin is that movie, but it's like that's kind of personal connections. Like the type of movie that if it was on TV, you and your dad or your family would sit down and just watch it. Like it doesn't matter.
Oh yeah.
Church, right?
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's I mean, whenever someone has a connection to a movie like that, I just want to know. I love in seeing all the connections. Like you mentioned so many things, and I was like, ooh, that's like so awesome. Now I want to meet your dad.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's great.
Yeah, incredible.
Mike, talk to me. Top Gun.
Yeah, Top Gun is just a really awesome movie. You know, like top to bottom, I just really enjoy it. It's a little slow in the beginning for me, but like once you get like 10 minutes in, it's just nonstop. And I just love every second of this movie. I love all the characters. Tom Cruise is phenomenal. Yeah, there's not much for me to add on top of I just really enjoyed Top Gun. And I can't wait to see what Top Gun Maverick looks like. Because if it can build on top of that legacy, like you guys were saying, it's gonna be an incredible movie. I really want to know what you're thinking, Brandon, because you just watched this movie for the first time, and I want to relive that. What was it like watching Top Gun for the first time?
So look, for me to tell you that I am head over heels this movie, no. In the sense that this is not my movie. Like this is not when I would like to watch. Like I'm a big when it comes to anything militaristic. I'm not. That's not my genre. But I love good stories, and I think to me, what kind of didn't make Top Gun click for me is that when you think about it, story is not really Top Gun's objective,
No.
right?
No.
So
No.
like Top Gun's objective is we wanted to make a movie about planes and the people behind the planes. So everything that has to do with the military, with all the drama, with the soldiers, the pilots, the actual scenes, that is like I'm gonna be honest. I've seen a lot of movies, and I don't think I've seen um, jet plane cinematography like this.
Yeah.
Even now, like I think that's like something that surprised me how not dated it feels. Like even now, watching like Falcon and the Winter Soldier and that opening scene on that first episode, a lot of that
with
is
Falcon
CG.
in the sky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, a lot of that is CG here over there. There's no CG here, and it looks great. And like it makes me think about the scenes in the trailers where you actually see all the jet and everything, like Mission Impossible style. I mean, I'm surprised that Tom Cruise is still inside the plane on this one because now we know he just goes outside planes. But I had to. I can't help myself. But but that's how I feel about Top Gun. Like I to me, I kind of I can see the big story hole, but the excitement and how well everything else is done, it just elevates everything else. You know what I mean? Like the flaw is not able to keep it on the ground. So that's my enjoyment. I mean, it's a hyper macho movie. It's a super summer movie. So I got to agree with you, Nate. It's it's nice. It's nice. I really enjoyed it because it's like it knows what it wants to do. It knows how to do it. Like you can tell that there was a vision, and they knock it out of the park. And it's funny because it makes me think, even in some of the acting scenes, it's like, hey guys, we got the movie set up, but I mean, we need a story, so we need to put something in there and make it work and make it connect. You know what I mean? It's a pile of things. Someone has to go down. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the way I feel. And the funny thing is that what makes the blandness of the story not weigh anything down is that they picked the best actors of the era to be in the movie. Like you and we all know here, at least those that know movies, like Tom Cruise and Val Kilmer, these are the people that were on top of the game at this point, right? You know what I mean? Like these are like, not only that, Tim Robbins is like in and out of the movie, like out of nowhere. I'm like, I saw his face like an extra, and I was like, that's not Tim Robbins. And then I'm looking at the beginning of the cast list at the end of the credits, like, shit, that's Tim Robbins. So like they have all these great cast of actors, and even they're delivering the lines in a very good way. The relationships feel authentic, but if you that's the one thing. I'm a big story guy. Mike knows me. I'm all about story. I'm all about those connections. But at the same time, I cannot deny that everything else is great. Is phenomenal. Some of the best thing I've seen. I really, really enjoyed all that. And it actually got me excited for Maverick because now I'm actually hoping it's been 30 years. Tom Cruise has been around. I can actually tell the difference that he actually can act a lot better now.
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
like, maybe they gave him a better script for Maverick, and I kind of want to watch it now because if they can keep up this level of action and cinematography and give me a good story, I think Top Maverick might be perfection. You know what I'm saying? Jeff's
Yeah.
kiss.
You know, Top Gun, like Nate said it earlier, it's just like this perfect summer movie, right? Where it's one of those things where you're just here to have a fun time with it. It's not the
Right.
deepest story, but again, the characters are fun. The set
Yeah.
pieces are phenomenal.
Yes.
One of my favorite bits of watching it this last time is just reading the credits, right? And you just see character names like Maverick, Ice, Goose, Viper, Jester, Wolfman. It's like this. They just had a blast making this movie. And
It's
naming
like
these
it's like they're
characters.
trying. They figure they grabbed the list of all the rejects from Streets of Rage, and they just started giving them to different people.
Yeah, it's just like I don't think I've ever seen a cast of characters with that great of like all of the names are just phenomenal. Hollywood,
Yeah.
come on.
Yes. Yes.
It's just a movie that's just a fun time all around. And
Yeah.
the story isn't its strongest suit, but I mean, come on, Goose's death scene is
Yes.
Yeah.
heartbreaking. And so
Yep.
that's
It
how they
is.
still
That is the
hook you.
strongest. That is I would say that that's the one scene, that one turn that I was like, okay, this is
Yeah.
it.
I feel like though, like the story isn't the strongest, but they still made you care about those characters enough to where that scene is
Yes.
effective.
Yes.
So I feel like Top Gun accomplished everything it really wanted to in that regard. But
Yep.
that's just me.
I have to agree.
I remember in middle school when I was starting to look, I mean, I was always obsessed with movies, but in middle school when I started looking at films like analytically, Goose's death scene sticks out to me as one of the first movie scenes that really have that emotional impact to me. And it's funny because you don't think about that with Top Gun, a scene with erotic beach volleyball scenes and French kissing to take my breath away. But
Yes.
yet again, there's something so, like you're saying, it's not the story, but it's that friendship between Tom Cruise and Anthony Edwards, the Maverick and Goose, that really makes that film work so well. To me, that's like the true
Yep.
romance. It's a bromance
Right.
of that movie, not him and it's Kelly Press. Or who's the not
Kelly
Press.
McGillis.
Kelly McGillis
Kelly
as Charlie.
McGillis.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. So it's funny that you say that because one of the things that stands out to me, and here's how I see it. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing because for the movie it did work, but that's the kind of thing that I gotta assume is intentional. Is okay.
Mhm.
You're the fanatic, not me.
Yes.
Is there a director's cut of Top Gun, or is this it?
This is it. I'm pretty
Okay.
sure.
Okay. Because to me, not that it was wrong, because the moment hit right, but
Mhm.
there's a sudden strong shift, very dramatic shift when it all goes down with Goose. Like you're in a
Yes.
different world altogether, a different movie altogether. But at
Yeah.
the same time, one could argue that life does that. So you can argue that in the military doing that kind of dangerous work, that shift is going to happen, which I think is a very good contrast, and it grounds the movie a lot.
Mhm.
So I like that, and also we got to give props that even though she barely was in the movie, you got to admit they picked Meg Ryan for that scene when
Yeah.
she's crying with Tom Cruise.
Oh yeah.
Like that's why they got Meg Ryan. You want a good cry, you get Meg Ryan. You know what I'm saying? So like, and that was like a powerful scene. It delivered. It was great. Um, Tom Cruise's arc from there and forward was, I mean, his arc throughout the movie is actually pretty good and simple, but I really did enjoy it. Now, I do want to say this. This is an honest question. The budget of this movie, did it go towards the jet plane scenes or was it the soundtrack? Because the licensing in this movie is like, bro, someone just said, get all the tracks. Like someone just bought a jukebox and said, let's see what comes out. Okay, we're going to use all of it.
It might have the record for needle drops, right?
Yeah.
Bro. It's like, did you notice that there's no silent movement? Almost no silent movement, no silence in almost the entire movie. And the soundtrack is like all this meaty stuff. But it's like crazy. I was so surprised. Like every time a new song would play, I would just take a shot.
Oh, you'd be so wasted.
Yeah.
Yes, so wasted.
I'm just looking at the IMDb right quick, going through the cast list, and I just love that Wilson the volleyball is listed as the volleyball.
No.
That could just be somebody on IMDb just messing around.
Yeah.
But that's just
Very
really funny.
possibly. But still, now I kind of want to track IMDb to see how many credits this Wilson the volleyball have.
Castaway be probably the only other major role. That was his biggest one.
To be surprised.
It's one hit wonder, right?
Yeah.
Just like the songs in this movie. No, I'm kidding.
Oh man.
I mean, there's a lot of records. So if you were to say, Mike, that you had a favorite scene or favorite moment, what would you pick?
Ooh, okay. Well, the volleyball scene is iconic, right? That's the first thing that comes to mind when you think of Top Gun. But
I didn't know that. Is that a thing? Like,
yeah, it's an entire meme at this point, dude.
Yeah.
You're 30
so
years too
far
late,
removed.
but yeah.
Apparently.
So the volleyball scene is one, but
Okay.
if I had to pick a specific moment, it's probably like Maverick's entire like introduction, right? When we're flying the plane at the
Yes.
beginning of the movie, because
Yes.
him flipping it upside down, doing
Yes.
like a barrel roll in the sky tells
Yes.
you everything you need to know about that character and his style.
Mhm.
And so I feel like it's not a perfect movie, but that might be a perfect character introduction for me personally.
And it's funny because they say that because in that scene you learn everything you need to know about Maverick.
Right.
Right. You kind of learn more about Goose as they get into Top Gun, and they start getting scolded, and kind of Goose starts opening up to him, like confronting Maverick, right? Which is what I like. One of the things that I like about Goose's character is that even though he is this mild mannered, right, and he pretty much just follows Maverick's lead, he does have the courage to say, Maverick, you gotta wake the fuck up. You know what I mean? Like he's able to make that comment, make that confrontation, which is really what you want in a good partner, right?
Right.
The best partner, the person that you're gonna trust with your life, or that's gonna trust you with his life, is that person that yes, you're gonna have a good time, but when push comes to shove, he's gonna tell you the truth, and it's gonna expect that you react and do something about it so that you can both succeed, right? But I gotta agree that I didn't notice though that scene when he goes upside down.
Yeah.
Like it's not a real scene. You can tell that like it's kind of plastic one on top of the other, but still, it didn't ruin the magic for me because Maverick and Goose are having such a good time with it that it aids to that suspension of disbelief that you get whenever you go to a movie.
Yeah.
So like that's like epic movie moment. So I gotta agree with you on that. I do enjoy that. What about you, Nate?
So do you want the ironic answer or do you want my like truthful answer? Because I agree.
I want both, but please label them correctly for the fans.
I mean, ironically, the meme fanatic in me, I love that beach volleyball scene. Who doesn't? It's
Yes.
great.
Yes.
It's magical. But
Oh, and by the way, Maverick's kind of a dick. He left it tied and left.
yes, that is true. And I know
Yeah.
the trailers for Maverick show a new beach volleyball scene. So
Because
yeah,
For the fans.
can't have Top Gun
for
without
the
it.
fans.
But
Elon Musk is going like this as soon as I get Twitter. No.
Oh,
just
geez.
make every profile's banner just like a still from like the beach volleyball scene.
Yes. Yes.
Perfect.
But he would have to do it like a year after dated memes.
True.
There's a lot of movies that like I would watch even like in high school or like middle school or even some of them early in college where it's like they're classic movies. I love them, but there's only like one or two scenes that really like stick with me.
Right.
With Top Gun, it's not like the most like prestige film out of like my favorite movies.
Yeah.
Yet there's so many scenes that have always been ingrained in my head, especially the scene with Goose's death, the Great Balls of Fire,
Yes.
the bar scene where they're singing "You've Got That Loving Feeling," the opening, and the tongue French kissing, the quote unquote sex scene. Like all of that,
Yes.
there's something about it, how it's done, that those kinds of scenes, and I don't know if it's the way Tony Scott like filmed it or something, or just that where it feels almost like that Americana kind of summery kind of thing that makes it really, I don't know. It's not like a comfort movie. Like I find comfort in like that because I mean this movie is essentially a propaganda, like a recruiting tool for the Navy. Yet it kind of
It could be seen that way.
I know some people have said it's like that, but at the same time,
I didn't catch
it's
that.
it's kind of a comfort movie for me in that way, where it's like that Americana, like 4th of July kind of movie or Memorial Day.
It also
And
kind of just
especially-
reminds you of home, right? Because you have that
Yeah.
such a special connection to this movie.
Right.
Oh yeah, it does.
It's
Yeah.
funny that you mentioned the idea of Americana, which, in my understanding, which I may be wrong, it's all about this hyper realistic idea of life, right? Especially American Dream and all that stuff, and that is something that it's always lingering beneath the surface of this film. Is that it's actually very surreal.
Yeah.
Like none of the characters. It's like, I'm not going to be a heretic because I appreciate the movie enough, and I'm not going to say that Goose's death was meant to feel over the top, because it's not.
Yeah.
It's one of the rawest scenes in the entire movie. Like if the characters have been over the top from start to finish, especially in their interactions with each other, because that is like the most grounded sequence. It's not just the scene where he dies. Ever since that plane falls and you see him like holding his body in the water, that it's like the most grounded scene.
Yes.
Like when the lifeguard has to tell him, you have to let him go, and the idea that he doesn't let him go till the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Like that whole thing just carries, right? It's powerful. But beyond that thread, right? Everything's kind of surreal. Like all the characters exist beyond themselves. Like these are not people that you're actually gonna meet, right? Like they don't really exist, but they abide in this world, because you got to think about it. Fighter pilots are not normal people. Like not everybody, like a lot of people can fly a plane. Not everybody can fly a jet plane.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, and I like how this is like a hyper divisive community. Like, oh no, you guys are the 1% of the 1% that get to this cool to do this, right? So it's perfect for you to understand that these people are supposed to be larger than life, because they are larger than life.
Yeah.
But a lot of times it made me think of what you said about the Americana aspect, that all these characters do feel like they're coming off the screen, which I think it's very interesting. And it actually is displayed in the sex scene. Like the sex scene is like there's a lot of blue that normally doesn't exist, and there's a lot of blue and black, and like for some reason interesting, but you know, like there's a lot of stuff that goes on, and it all looks like a painting. It looks surreal, and then when she wakes up, and of course is very nice, but everything is like magical, as opposed to them deciding if it would be raw, which it makes me think like maybe the sex scene is the most blatant display of that surrealness,
Yeah.
but it's actually carried throughout the film. which is very interesting. It's a very good point you bring, Nate. Did you catch any of that Americana, Mike?
A little bit. The thing is, and I know that Nate probably doesn't necessarily agree with it. I don't see it as propaganda.
I
Yeah,
I
I
don't
don't
like.
either. I don't either.
I know some believe it as that. I don't.
Yeah,
I could see how somebody though could watch that movie and be like, I want to join the Navy now. Like if that was in the 80s when social media wasn't
right.
like around, if somebody like you just got like a college college dropout sitting in the theater for he got kicked out for partying too hard at his frat. Like he sits down, he watches Top Gun, he's like, I want to join the Navy now. And he gets all of his
Because he
buddies to watch it, and then they all join it. And it's like I
because he
feel
wants to
like
play volleyball.
yeah,
He wants to get to the danger zone. No, but
I
the,
just
the, re- the reason that I say
Wow.
I don't necessarily feel that way is because it at points it kind of glamorizes that entire idea of
Mhm.
being
mhm,
a pilot, but oftentimes, like as soon as Goose's death hits, you realize how
yeah,
real this job is.
yes.
And so, like the
Yes.
first half of the movie, I can see it that way. But anybody
mhm,
who's finished the movie, I'm gonna be sitting
yeah,
like, yeah, I don't know if I want to be in this
yeah,
situation.
And it's funny that you say that because you really don't feel the stakes of anything
Right.
until Goose's death.
yeah,
And
You know
I,
what I
like you
mean?
were
Like,
saying before, I
mhm,
feel like that's very intentional, right? Where it
right.
yeah,
was pie in the sky.
It's all about that
Um,
shift.
right. It goes to that tonal shift and it feels very awkward and hard. But like you were saying before, that's probably the point because the death
Right.
was
yeah,
sudden. And so you're feeling that whiplash that Maverick's feeling. And so
True.
I feel like that's what makes this movie great because
mhm,
yeah, story wise, it may not be the strongest like overall, but it still knows how to use its characters and use the plot points that it wants to hit
Hmm.
effectively. And so I feel like especially where we end with Maverick's character at the end of this movie, right, where he does have to overcome that grief, that fear, and get back out there. It's all built on everything everyone around him is telling him, trying to build him back up, help him move on. And so I feel like that all, especially for me, I think that all just kind of works. That's when the movie clicks.
Yeah.
The idea of Top Gun, sometimes it's like, why does this movie work? This movie shouldn't be nearly as fun as it is.
yeah,
But for me, I know not necessarily for you, Brent, but for me, it all just kind of clicks into place once you get to like the middle of the second act, and it's like, boom, that's what makes this iconic. That's what makes this a
True.
classic.
And you know what's funny though? It makes me think also that you notice that there's no silence because the movie's being carried from one film, from one song to another, right?
yeah,
And I also kind of think that it's intentional. They're brainwashing us now. Uh, but as I'm listening to you guys talk about it and share your thoughts, I'm kind of like enjoying the movie more and more
Right.
because you guys are bringing a lot of valid points and I keep going back to that shift, like we've all said multiple times. The shift is real, is drastic, and now as I analyze the character of Maverick, is what a what a powerful way to give his character a turn. Because what's the whole thing about Maverick from the beginning? Not only is he kind of cocky, not only is he confident, but he's confident in his skills. Why? Because he knows what he's in control of. And he's a character that's always in control. So what happens is you put him in a situation where he has no control and he loses control. And then everything goes sideways and he loses his friend. I mean, and you see his breaking confidence, but it feels powerful. It feels good,
Yeah.
in the sense, not that goes that, but like it feels like it clicks with what it's exactly what his arc needed, to making him to someone that we would follow.
mhm,
And I like that as a very sincere also narrative for his character because for example, you got to think the way this movie starts, you think that it's going to play like a Harry Potter film, right? Like he's going to win the Goblet of Fire. He's going to, right? And even though he didn't win Top Gun, he wins respect of number one, which at the end of the day is better or higher than, you know,
Right.
than winning that his name on the plaque. Um, which I don't know, man. I'm liking the movie more. Damn it, guys. No.
Yes, it's working. You know,
Mission accomplished. The propaganda set in.
Oh, I do want to talk about the propaganda thing. And I think it's very interesting that you bring that up because you got to think about also like that angle is always kind of pushed by a specific crowd,
yes.
right? And which to me, as soon as I see it that way, it completely loses all kinds of validity in my
Yeah.
sense. Because
Oh,
when
yeah.
you think about it, I mean, first of all, even if you join the Navy, nothing guarantees you're going to be a fighter pilot. That's one. Two, if you don't have the height, the if you wear glasses, you can't fly. Let's start with that. like there's a lot of different. There's a first of all, Tom Cruise is too short, but we're not talking about that. But like, there's so many. I mean, I think I don't know. Maybe. I mean, he can ride that bike. But I'm right. So, but here's the thing, though. Like, there's so many different things that come into play that are beyond anybody's control. Like, you can't just go to the Navy and decide I'm going to be a fighter pilot.
Yeah.
It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
So, who are you really selling it to? It doesn't make any sense because in reality, the only people that this would make sense to is people that actually know that Top Gun actually exists. Does Top Gun actually exist, Nate?
I am not aware that. I think it might.
Damn it, Nate. That's why we brought you here. You're supposed to know these things.
Oh yeah, it is real. It is real.
Bet. Awesome.
It is real.
Good save. Good save. Brandon was about to kick you out of here.
The power of the Google. I will click you. No.
I actually have pulled up where I found the propaganda angle from, and it's the producer of the movie said it. John Davis. He said that it was basically used as a recruiting video for the Navy.
That is okay. So what he's saying is that it has been used. So they've used footage of the movie to recruit people.
Let me.
Right?
This is what I'll use Wikipedia. I know they're not the most reliable, but
we trust in the wiki. I give them $2 every 5 years. It's got to be for something.
You're the one guy who pays for
I mean, someone's got to be the guy.
I mean, they guilt you. I don't blame you. Like, I feel bad if I see that.
Right?
It says film producer John Davis said that Top Gun was a recruiting video for the Navy, that people saw the movie and said, wow, I want to be a pilot. The Navy had recruitment booths in some theaters to attract enthusiastic patrons. After the film's release, the U.S. Navy stated that the number of young men who joined wanting to be naval aviators went up by 500%.
So everything we said for the last 20 minutes or so has just been wrong. Nice.
Well, here's the thing, though. Did it happen? We don't know.
Yeah. Who knows? He could have just been wanting to make himself feel good. I don't know.
True. What was that movie? Because I think if anything was a promotion for pilots, what was that movie that had that line with that guy? I want to be a pilot. What was that movie? Like it became a meme for the longest time. I want to be a pilot. Like everybody was making fun of it. But I tried to find it. Google betrayed me. But it's funny that John Davis says that because you got to think about it. You can't really. I mean, all propaganda is it's false dreams, right? But I don't know. Damn it, John. We're making good points here. Now, can we talk about the jet planes? Because here is the thing that got me so interested and so kind of like wowed. Number one, you can't CGI anything. It's 1985, 84, right? So everything was filmed and everything looks great. And here's the biggest thing that surprised me. Tony didn't reuse any shots. At least that I could notice. I've only seen it once. But you know how when you watch like a film or an anime or whatever, and you kind of notice, yeah, they were using this shot. You know what I mean? Because money, budget, or just laziness, right? Like we watched this show once in the Amateur Target we covered, and we can just tell like the same shot is used like in 3 different episodes against, it's one of those things like you don't want to be that guy, but
Yeah.
it's like it's boring. But but the fact that they shot so much footage that they didn't have to reshoot anything was phenomenal. And then at the end of it, which to me is one of the greatest shots, is that shot of Maverick leaving the flight, what do you call it, fleet carrier, whatever it is,
A flight carrier.
a flight
Yeah.
carrier, leaving the flight
Aircraft carrier. Yeah.
aircraft carrier
Yeah.
in the final act, or the final scene. And it's a particular one shot when he goes out and the camera is like it's looking towards the tail of the plane and it's going in circles. That particular one shot was so great because after everything we've seen, it refreshes your eyes. And it's like, I can't believe, after not reusing any scenes that I could see, the best scenes are the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, that blew my mind. I gotta say, it was great.
Yeah, for sure.
One of the things that has actually been in my head throughout this podcast is I can kind of compare this movie. I am also a huge Rocky fan. So
Yes.
this movie actually kind of reminds me not of the first Rocky, which was a little more grounded, or even really the second one, but like the third movie or the fourth movie,
This
where
is
it
Rocky
has
4.
Yeah, it's Rocky 4,
100%.
essentially. It
They're
has
stars.
that, like,
We can say they're Russian. That's fine.
yeah, they have that rah-rah, like, America kind of feeling,
Yeah,
but then it's super, like, Rocky 4, it has a ton of montages. I always joke that, a lot of people always joke, that's like half the movie, or over half the
Yes.
movie of Rocky
Damn
4
it,
is
it's Rocky.
montages. But yeah, it's Rocky. We
Yes.
love it still, and
Wait,
yet,
are we
there's that,
calling Goose Apollo? Is that what we're doing?
yes,
Yeah.
basically, it's
Wrong.
kind of a similar thing, where
Yes.
it's this very goofy 80s flavored movie, yet it has that moment, Rocky 4 has that moment where Apollo is killed in the ring. And it's heartbreaking. It brings the whole movie down. It makes it feel real at that point.
Yep.
Yeah.
Whereas I think Rocky 4 kind of sets it up backwards, kind of goofy towards the ending with his, final speech ending the Cold War. But
Yes.
yeah. But whereas there's still that kind of comparison. You could even bring that in with the sequels. Like Creed, when that came out, a lot of the Rocky sequels, they're very, very cheesy. I think Rocky Balboa kind of grounded it a little bit more, but Creed, that was the best one. And I mean, the first movie, I always say it's my all-time favorite movie, but I would also accept someone saying that Creed is, the better of the two movies.
Yeah.
Compared to like the original. Just as I could see with this new one, Top Gun Maverick, I could see this movie being like significantly better than this movie by having that grounded sort of nature about, the repercussions of Goose's death, just like Apollo's death had repercussions in both of the Creed movies.
Yeah. Because Miles Teller is meant to be Goose's son, right?
Yes.
Is that the whole thing?
Yeah. And I remember it was between him and Glenn Powell, who's also ended up in the movie anyway. Because this was...
Because of reasons.
Yeah, they were cast in like 2018 summer. Like, I remember that. And like, that was the summer that movie that Glenn Powell was in, like, Set It Up, had just come out. And then it was like announced that he was in the running for Top Gun. Like, everyone was like rooting for him because it's like, oh, he's so like charismatic and everything like that.
Yeah.
And then Miles Teller got the role and everyone's like, oh, the cocky guy. And then like a couple days later, and then Glenn Powell like put out like a snarky tweet. He's like, I'm tearing down all my Tom Cruise posters, winky face. And then like a couple days later, it was like, oh yeah, they wrote a new role for Glenn Powell so he could be in the movie. So
yeah,
I mean, it's funny that you bring the sequel to the conversation that way, because one of the things that I'm thinking now, especially my first experience with Top Gun and the reasons I've enjoyed it, right? even knowing the technology that we have, and you got to think one of the big factors in the new Top Gun movie has to be the fact that aircraft technology has
Oh, yeah.
surprisingly improved over the years, right?
Yeah.
So
30
there's
years will
got to
do
be
that. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's like Pokemon cards. But one of the most interesting things is that I still feel that when it comes to the action scenes and the stunt work,
Mm.
the original one still holds a high bar
Oh yeah.
because of the type of action that it is, right?
Yeah.
So I got my thinking is, will this new director capture what Tony was able to capture with the camera? The kind of intensity. Because here's the thing, though, you can say that the picture's going to look clearer. Yes, new cameras will do that. But will he get the angles? Will he get the action, the shift within cockpit, and all that? You know what I mean? I just find it so interesting. That's what I'm going to be looking for when I watch the sequel. And then of course all the drama. So
Yeah. Especially just going through everything with how they crafted like those action scenes in the original using scale models and everything like that because they couldn't do CGI. And it's like it's crazy to me how great that movie still looks, and then some CGI
yes,
ages very poorly. So
Yes.
finding the right mix, like I hope they
Yeah.
probably just blend the two, like enhance it with CGI, so it
Mhm.
doesn't age like milk in 2 years.
Yeah.
yes. It's funny you say that because I think that hopefully, one of the saving graces to the film being made is the fact that Tom Cruise is still attached. Because
Yeah.
anybody can say whatever they want about Tom Cruise. We all know that Mummy movie sucked. We all know that.
Yeah.
Don't matter. But 90% of his filmography is actually, he has made a name in himself because there is a product out there, and that product is Tom Cruise. And
Yes.
throughout the decades, we still want to buy it.
Yeah.
There's a reason for that. And one of the biggest reasons is because he believes in authenticity. He believes in providing a thrilling experience to audiences that feels authentic and real. And in a movie like this, in a world where CGI reigns, I think we all can agree that Tom Cruise is pushing for things to be as practical as possible because he does things as practical as possible. So I'm kind of like wondering how this is going to look because those trailers for Maverick look phenomenal. So I can't wait.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
I am going to say something a little sacrilegious here, but it was something
Here
I
we go.
brought up with a friend the other day. You know, Tom Cruise, again, say what you will about him, say what you will about some of his movies, like, you know, The Mummy or that second Jack Reacher movie. He's essentially the actor version of Christopher Nolan in his way of advocating for the theatrical experience on a practical level and
Yes.
really like
Yes.
having
I
that
can say
kind
that.
of control. Like if you saw some of the news in the news recently, like he's at odds with Paramount over the like theatrical window over I think either the new Top Gun or I think the next Mission Impossible.
It
Yeah,
was
they
probably
moved
But
them
both at
all
this
for
point.
like yeah, because I think they're filming 7 and 8 back to back, right? Because it's gonna
yes,
be his last, right? Yeah.
because at the same time, it's the reason why I think it took to this point for Top Gun to finally be made is because now Tom Cruise has that kind of power. I mean, look at the last
Yes.
several Mission Impossible movies. Like,
Yes.
really, in a way, Ghost Protocol reignited his career in a way that no one really saw coming.
Right.
And after that, he's done movies like Edge of Tomorrow, and even The Mummy. I guess it would kind of be his fault, but that was also Universal trying to get ahead of themselves. A lot of his other
Monsterverse,
movies,
yeah.
yeah, he has all of that control over these movies, and he wants to make it as authentic as possible. Like
Right.
that movie he did, another movie where he was a pilot. I think like one of his last movies he did was American Made. Like no one, if that wasn't Tom Cruise, I think that movie would have just fallen under by the wayside. Yeah, I don't think as many people remember that as some of Tom Cruise's other recent films, but still, that movie's way better than I ever expected it to be, and I think it's because Tom Cruise's like commitment at working with these particular directors, like Doug Liman or like a Christopher McQuarrie, or now he's really teaming up with Joseph Kosinski, the director behind this one. To have those directors that can really work with him to create that feel that is actually improving on like technical aspects of like a blockbuster.
Yeah.
I know that was some rambling, but I hope that made sense.
No, and it makes sense because go, Mike.
No, I was just gonna say it was gonna be slightly off topic, but I just love how Tom Cruise is able to evolve as well, right?
Yeah.
He's not still making movies that feel like 80s movies. He's able to change his acting
adapted
style. He's
so
adapted.
Yeah.
Right. It's like even you look at the Mission Impossible series, right? You look at Ghost Protocol, fantastic movie.
Yeah.
But Ghost Protocol feels nothing like Fallout.
No.
Or
nothing.
Revelation.
Go to the original Mission Impossible.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's like, even in that same series, it's evolving and changing the further along it goes, and it becomes more reflective of the time period it's in. You look at Top Gun in the 80s, and then you look at Top Gun Maverick, which does not feel like it's in the same franchise at all, looking from the trailers. But I think that's, again, just representative of Tom Cruise being able to adapt with the era he's in, and that's why he stays relevant. That's why he's one of the last big movie stars from that era, because he's able to keep adapting.
It's funny you say that, because you got to think about the only through line in Top Gun Maverick to this one is the fact that the same jacket's there. It's Tom Cruise and the jacket.
Yes.
Because the bike's not the same. Everything else is different. The planes are not the same. But you can see Maverick. You can see him, and like I said, I love how as you guys were talking about Tom Cruise evolving and to the eras. The idea that Tom Cruise is one of those actors that you can say this Tom Cruise we saw in the 70s is now the same Tom Cruise in the 80s, is not the same Tom Cruise in the 90s, et cetera, speaks to the amazing career that he's had, and also the devotion to his craft, and also finding what are the right roles for him. Right. Because there's a lot of actors. We're not going to count Nick Cage because the guy can do anything.
He's got massive talent. Come on.
It's an unbearable way to talent.
Yes.
Hey. But I can't wait to see more of it. I mean, it's funny the fact that a franchise like Mission Impossible that everybody thought was just gonna crash and burn after John Woo tried it. But it's become this colossal franchise that keeps bringing talent and taking us in these adventures. And now I just can't wait to get on a plane with Tom Cruise now. So I'm excited for Top Gun Maverick. I'm glad that we took the time to talk about this one. And that's all I got. You guys got any Nate, any closing thoughts? Anything that you would say to anyone that's never taught Maverick? Sell us the movie, damn it.
If you like Tom Cruise, if you're excited or have ever been interested in the evolution of a movie star who's still working today, I think you take a look at Top Gun. You can even take a look back a couple years earlier, like A Risky Business. Watch those and lead it up to a Top Gun Maverick, and you can actually see the evolution of like the movie star. As you were saying, Mike, none of Tom Cruise's like recent movies feel like the throwbacks, like cheesy. They always have that modern filmmaking approach to them. I think that's maybe may have harmed The Mummy. That could have used that kind of campy feeling. But at the same time, Tom Cruise is always about improving, and his movies are always about improving and innovating. He's trying to make a movie where he goes to literal space. I mean, I don't know if that's ever going to happen.
It is. But
it's still just, this movie is like the perfect launch pad to see the birth of a movie star.
I'm going to say this before, Mike, you give your thoughts. In regards to The Mummy, now I haven't seen it, but I know this much. I know that Tom Cruise gave it all. You know why?
Yes.
Because he ran a lot in that movie too.
Yes.
If Tom Cruise runs, he gave it his all.
I have a scream from that movie as my ringtone.
Oh my god.
That's a
incredible.
horrible life you live, Nate.
That is incredible.
Mike, closing thoughts on Top Gun.
I can't top that, man. I really can't. We should just cut it right there. That's incredible. I just edit the scream in now. But no, on Top Gun, everything Nate said is true, right? I feel like this is peak 80s Tom Cruise, right? And then seeing that evolution from there is incredible. I think the entire cast is great. Like Val Kilmer, he just owns every scene he's in. He's not in the movie that often, but I mean, come on.
No.
Iceman came to play in this movie. And so I didn't go for the direct Batman and Robin reference, but I alluded to it. And I just threw it all subtlety right then and there.
Fair enough. Fair enough. The Iceman cometh.
Yeah, no, but it's just a fantastic film. I just love it. Love the craft of it all. You know, like, again, getting those action scenes, getting that summer feeling, right, injected into it. And even if we can't quite nail how or why it works, the fact of the matter is it does work. And I feel like that's exactly why Top Gun Maverick got delayed for like the billionth time, to get it out of the fall and winter to make sure it had a summer release, because there's just something special. Top Gun in summer, it's just a special feeling. And so it's just a great movie that I'm probably going to put it in my summer rotation a little more often, because I just had a blast watching it this last time.
Yeah.
Awesome. As someone that watched Top Gun for the first time, I got to say, some things didn't work, but the idea, the essence of what Top Gun is pure 80s in great cinema. So
did it take your breath away?
You bastard. What I am gonna say is this: is that after watching this movie, I will never lose that loving feeling. Hey, so I know, guys, watch Top Gun. It's a great watch. It's a great time, and the sequel's coming out very soon. And I got to tell you, there's no way you're gonna enjoy Maverick as much as you would if you watched the original Top Gun.
Yes,
it's a classic. I gotta say it. It's a classic. Nate, awesome you being with us. Thank you for joining us, man.
So happy to be here.
Awesome. So we got to do this again. So we will see you next time we get you back here at the Shadow After. If people wanted to find you in the webs, where can people find you, man?
You can find me on Twitter at Nate Knows Movies. You could also find my words at Collider. I'm also a resource editor there, so I work a lot with Mike there. And you could also find me at the Film Yap. I occasionally will review movies for them, or on my own personal blog, Movie Hound. So different places.
Mike Thomas, where can people find the Cinephile?
You can find me at youtube.com/novicecinephile, where there's a chance you're probably listening to this there. So just click the subscribe button down there at the bottom of the tab. You can also find me at Novice Cinephile on Twitter and collider.com, like Nate just mentioned. It's just fun talking movies with you guys everywhere. So you can also find me on TikTok, even though I have no idea what I'm posting there at the moment, because all my TikToks are just spur of the moment things. So give me a follow there too.
You can find me at the Scarlet Fan 52 on Twitter, at the Scarlet Fan 52 on Instagram, and at the Scarlet Fan 52 on TikTok, even though I have no idea what I'm doing there. I'm trying to reconnect with my Flash past and future. So I might be putting a lot more Flash stuff on Twitter. I'm one of the biggest Flash fans out there, I would assume.
Yes.
My favorite superhero
that.
of all time.
Thank
you. So
wait, time out. Nate, Barry Allen or Wally West?
I'm Barry.
My man.
Yes.
And thus a friendship was born.
And it's just like a strike of lightning. So if you love what we do here at the Shadow After podcast, we cover movies every 2 weeks. We recently did The Batman. We did The Sunset Limited. We did The Godfather and its 50th anniversary. And we have a lot more movies. The anniversary for Blade Runner is coming up. So we're going to do a lot of Blade Runner with a big cast crew. So we have a lot of things coming up in the Shadow After. If you love listening to us, check our playlist at the Novice Cinephiles channel on YouTube. And if you want to hear from us in the podcast forms, in the ears, you can go to Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Radio Public. Some of the video podcasts are also on Spotify. So click and subscribe, click and follow, give us a 5-star rating. You guys are awesome. And if there's any movies you guys want us to cover, any suggestions, put it down in the comments below. Who knows? You might be here. Have it awesome, guys. Peace. Plus ultra.
Plus.